In a previous video, I said that the iPad Pro is not quite there yet as being a laptop replacement, but there is a lot more to that discussion. It all depends strictly on what you intend to do with the device and your unique use case scenario. In this video, I'll be analyzing the issue and attempting to help you answer the question of whether you specifically can use the iPad Pro as a laptop replacement. What's going on, everyone? My name is Gio and welcome back to Gio's Tech Views, where we're all about helping you understand and keep up to date with the latest news, trends and devices from the world of tech. So if you too are passionate about tech and want to learn more about it, hit that subscribe button and click on the bell icon so you don't miss anything. There are many factors to consider when choosing whether or not the iPad Pro could make for a good laptop replacement for you specifically. In this video, I'll be going through those that I think are most important, both in terms of what could make for a good experience and what could make for a less good experience. Over the last couple of years, Apple made several steps towards bringing the iPad closer to a laptop, both in terms of hardware and software. Probably the biggest step in terms of hardware towards bringing the iPad closer to a laptop was the addition of a USB-C port. This allows the iPad Pro to be used with external accessories like displays, audio interfaces, and pretty much anything else that uses USB-C that we would normally associate with everyday use of a laptop. Probably even more important, however, was the upgrade to iPadOS that allowed it to be used with external memory, which was definitely the biggest complaint after the original unveiling of the iPad Pro and its USB-C port. The use of USB-C also future-proofs the device, as we're heading towards a future where USB-C is pretty much a universal port. However, for now, USB-C also brings the so-called dongle life. However, this is not much different from what you would get with any MacBook. Personally, I'm currently using a Satechi USB-C hub, which I will be reviewing soon and putting the review up here once it's out. You can find the link to that and other USB-C hub down in the description. Another major improvement that was made to iPadOS recently was the addition of full-fledged mouse support. Now it is possible to connect any wireless mouse to the iPad directly through the Bluetooth settings, like you would do with any other Bluetooth device. This is great for productivity. It allows you to have more precise and accurate movements and a faster workflow that is closer to what a laptop would have. The mouse I'm currently using is the Logitech MX Maste Anywhere 2S. It's a great mouse and I will be reviewing that too and leaving the review up here once it's out. Still, it is important to know that the experience of using a mouse with a laptop and an iPad is a bit different. This is because Apple had to adapt the way the cursor and mouse behave to iPadOS. Instead of the arrow we're all used to, iPadOS uses a small circular cursor which adapts to the button as it is hovered over, which is a great implementation of a cursor on what is in fact a touch-based OS. Still, this adapted cursor doesn't yet work perfectly in all apps. In addition to external mice, it is possible to use external trackpads in iPadOS. When doing this, it is possible to use gestures similar to those used with the touchscreen to navigate the OS. This is also another great implementation and allows easier navigation of a touch-based OS using a trackpad. Nevertheless, the use of these gestures will still need a little bit of getting used to. To take advantage of mouse support on iPadOS, one can either carry an external mouse or buy a trackpad case. In terms of cases that incorporate a keyboard and a trackpad, the options are limited. As of the recording of this video, there are only 3 available cases like this on the market. These are all very good options, but they all add significant weight and price to the setup. In addition, the trackpads on these cases are very small, which I personally find frustrating. In my opinion, using a mouse is much better for productivity, but this will leave you without the gestures to navigate the OS. Therefore, you will need to choose what is more important for you, having the gestures or having the freedom of the mouse. Having a keyboard, while very good for productivity, could also get in the way when using the iPad for other purposes like content consumption. One possibility, if you're only using the iPad for work at a specific desk, would be to use it with a separate mouse and keyboard and then carry it around normally for other purposes. Another factor that one might consider when deciding whether or not to purchase the iPad Pro as a laptop replacement is its portability. The iPad Pro is definitely a very portable solution, especially in the 11-inch form factor. However, it is important to consider that when moving up to the 12.9-inch, together with the keyboard case, which many people would consider as a setup for laptop replacement, the weight goes up to over 1300 grams, which is heavier than a MacBook Air, which sits around 1290. Although one might think that power could be a problem for a tablet compared to a laptop, the availability of raw power is definitely not a problem for the iPad Pro. Thanks to the extremely powerful A12Z Bionic, the iPad Pro performs the same or better than many thin and light laptops it could be compared to on benchmarks. However, this very powerful chip is often held back by software. This, I think, is the main problem of the iPad Pro. Indeed, many applications that we would normally use on laptops do not offer full functionality on iPadOS. Many popular desktop programs do offer a mobile version. However, in general, these lack most advanced features of the program. For example, all 4 Microsoft Office applications, Word, Excel, PowerPoint and OneNote are available for iPadOS. However, they all lack advanced features like more complex formulas in Excel, captions and bibliographies in Word, or custom animations in PowerPoint. Although you might say that if you need those features, and so you won't buy the iPad Pro as your laptop replacement, this also prevents you from growing into the device. For example, if you're a student and now you don't need those features but you might need them in the future, you want a device that allows you to grow into these features. Adobe's suite of apps also has a similar situation. There are mobile versions of a lot of Adobe's products, however they do lack most advanced features. This is especially true in the case of video editing, where the mobile versions of Adobe's Premiere Pro, Premiere Rush, definitely lacks many of the advanced features of the program. On the other hand, in terms of photo editing, both Photoshop and Lightroom are available on mobile and do offer a large section of the features of the desktop apps. I will leave a link down below in the description to all of Adobe's mobile apps so you can find out their features. And I will also leave a link to a comparison between mobile and desktop Microsoft Office apps so you can find out whether the features you need are present in the mobile version. It is also important to consider that to access more advanced features on Adobe's apps, you would need a subscription that is similarly priced to that you would need for desktop applications. So the value you're getting for mobile applications is definitely lower. There is a similar situation for gaming. The iPad definitely has the power to perform a lot of games, and there are mobile versions of many popular games like Call of Duty, FIFA or Fortnite. However, these do not offer the same experience as those for PC or console, and you can't play on them together with people on PC or console. In terms of gaming, one thing that's important is that now you can connect a controller to the iPad, which makes the experience of gaming on it much better. As I said, there are many programs which offer mobile versions. However, there are also many that do not. So if you do need some programs which do not have a mobile version, it will definitely not be possible for you to purchase an iPad Pro as a laptop replacement. Oppositely, there are programs which only offer mobile versions and are much better on the iPad, such as those for note-taking or drawing. Apps like Procreate, Adobe Illustrator Draw, and even just Apple Notes allow you to take full advantage of the Apple Pencil, and this is definitely something that gives an edge to the iPad if you need to do those kind of things like drawing and note-taking. While there is now a dedicated Files app, another major drawback of iPadOS compared to a MacBook or PC is the lack of a full-fledged file organizing system, which is something that we all use every day when dealing with our laptops. Another factor to consider when thinking about the iPad as a laptop replacement is the compatibility of this with its other uses. For example, one of the things the iPad is great at is content consumption, and having a keyboard case like the Magic Keyboard could get in the way of that in my opinion. It is great that the Magic Keyboard is magnetic, which means you can just take the iPad off it whenever you want to use it without the keyboard. However, this also means that you cannot stand it up anymore without holding it, which is something I personally do all the time. The same can be said of note-taking and drawing. When the iPad is propped up on the keyboard, it is very hard to draw on it and take notes on it. In terms of price, when comparing it to the cheapest MacBook Air available, which is $999, it is possible to purchase a 12.9-inch iPad Pro with only Wi-Fi and 128 GB of storage. This gives you a machine that is probably more powerful than the MacBook Air, but can't really exploit that power to its full potential due to software constrictions. It also gives you half the storage and no keyboard and mouse. If you want to bring the iPad Pro up to 256 GB, which I think is the minimum you should go for a laptop replacement, you will need to go up to $1099. In addition, to have the full keyboard and mouse experience, you will need to spend $300 for the Magic Keyboard or an alternative which is about the same price. This would bring the total close to $1,400 for a good setup, excluding the $129 you might want to spend on the Apple Pencil if you want to take advantage of that side of the iPad Pro. For comparison, for $1,300 you could even get the base model MacBook Pro, which definitely gives you a good amount of power. Of course, a best case scenario would be to be able to purchase both the iPad Pro and the MacBook. However, if you can afford that, this video probably won't do much for you as you wouldn't need to choose. Overall, the iPad Pro has made a lot of steps towards being more like a laptop, including the use of USB-C, mouse support, the availability of a lot of useful mobile apps, and its great performance. However, none of these have made it all the way to full laptop experience. For example, the adaptive cursor is not perfect yet, is not functioning perfectly in all apps, and needs getting used to. The use of gestures on trackpads also needs some getting used to, and does not offer the same ease of navigation as a normal laptop OS does. The performance and power of the iPad is greater than many laptops, however it is held back by the lack of advanced features in many mobile apps. Therefore, whether or not the iPad Pro is enough for you to use as a laptop replacement depends on your use and budget. In terms of budget, obviously if you have the budget for both, go ahead and buy an iPad Pro and a MacBook or a laptop and you will have a great experience for sure. If you need to choose, there are some obvious choices. For For example, if you absolutely need the more advanced features in many desktop apps, you definitely shouldn't buy the iPad Pro as a laptop replacement. Similarly, if you're an artist and you really need something to draw on, the iPad Pro will be perfect for you. On the other hand, there are many more tricky choices. For example, if you know for a fact you only do light work like basic productivity, email, and web browsing, and you for sure won't need any advanced features in desktop apps, the iPad Pro might be enough for you. However, this will also prevent you from growing into those features without having to upgrade your system. Another option, if you need those advanced features or you think you might need them in the future, but you still want an iPad for its portability, Apple Pencil support, and content consumption, is to buy a cheaper iPad like an iPad Air or an iPad. Both of them will offer a great experience with content consumption and support the Apple Pencil for drawing and note-taking. And they can also easily withstand basic productivity tasks. Another thing to consider is whether or not you need to always be connected to the internet on the go. If you do, the possibility of having 4G on the iPad could push you towards using it as a laptop replacement. On the other hand, I personally don't have LTE on my iPad Pro because with the large amounts of data that are available for smartphone plans and the possibility of using personal hotspots, I didn't think there was a necessity, and I've never encountered a situation where I wished I had it. Overall, I think the iPad Pro cannot replace a laptop for everyone. It can do a lot of what a laptop can do, but not everything and not as efficiently. It's the usual problem that is always encountered with the hybrid devices. They can do most of what a single-use device can, but not as well. Indeed, the more you push the iPad towards a laptop, the more you risk losing some of what makes it a great tablet. As I mentioned, including the keyboard case will lose on portability, and having a keyboard in the way could make the experience of using it for content consumption less enjoyable. Personally, if I could only buy one device to work and play with, I will still buy a laptop. However, if you do have a laptop, the iPad Pro is an amazing product. Actually, I personally spend a lot more time on my iPad Pro than I do on my laptop. However, whenever it comes to being productive, I always still reach for my laptop. Once again, however, I do think that buying a laptop and then a cheaper iPad could also be a great buy because it gives you all the good of having an iPad for content consumption, note-taking, and small productivity tasks on the go, and you still have something you can go to when you need to be productive. This is also because the power that the iPad Pro provides is often not needed for what one can do on an iPad. If you want to hear my thoughts on the iPad Pro as a tablet, check out my review in this video. If you instead want to or have already purchased an iPad Pro as your laptop replacement, check out this video to learn more about the best accessories to make the most of it and the best iPadOS features to be aware of. But what do you think? Leave a comment down below if you think you could use the iPad Pro as a laptop replacement or if you're doing it so right now. That's been it for this video. Until the next one, I'll see you later.